Your port lecturer here on board. I've seen many of you already around the ship at my desk on deck 3 midship, and I'm very glad to see you all here today. I'm going to talk about our next 2 ports of call, which are Dover and Bruges. So find yourselves a seat if you've just arrived. Now, many of you have already joined our shore excursion shore excursion presentation, so you know this is your booking form. Just for your information, and for those of you who weren't there are two additions to this booking form. For instance, in Lisbon, we will now be offering a shuttle service. This one will take you to the city center. So if you want to discover this beautiful city on your own, you can take a shuttle service from the port. I will take you right to the downtown area. And also, by great demand, we will be offering tours that take you to London. So for those of you who haven't been to London yet, this is a great opportunity. So stop by the desk on deck 3 midship today. We will be open until 9 o'clock tonight. Now, if there's anything that you missed during this presentation, or once we get closer to the port, you want to recap on all the information, you can tune into channel 4. That is my personal port and shopping channel, and it will also have all the information that you need. Also, once we get closer to the port of Amsterdam, this one will also present to you a little bit more information on that port of call. And then for our ports in Lisbon and Bruges, you will be receiving a destination guide the evening before we arrive there. Have a close look at that because it contains a map with the main signs, but most importantly, what do we like to do most when we go abroad? Shopping, of course. So this will have our preferred shops listed in there with the address, additional information on what you can buy and what extras you can receive when you go to our shops. Moreover, they are guaranteed. So if you're looking to buy any jewelry, any shoes, any port wine, for instance, in Portugal, come and see me at the desk. I'll be more than happy to provide you a little bit more information on all of that. So let's get started with our first port of call for today that I'm going to talk about, Dover. It's actually the 3rd stop on your transatlantic cruise voyage. So have a look at the map of the United Kingdom all the way down there at the red arrow. That is where we find Dover, located in the county of Kent. And it was also one of the Cinque ports, one of the 5 ports that was used for military and trade purposes. So a very important place, lots and lots of history to discover there. And we will actually be right here at the port of Dover. It's looking right over the English Channel, and the narrowest point of that is called the Strait of Dover, only 6 kilometers away from the French coast. Our arrival time here is 7 a.m. and we'll be there until 10 p.m. So we've got a lot of time. Definitely for those of you who want to travel to London, this will give you a little bit extra time. From the ship, you can basically walk off into the town of Dover. This will take you about 10 to 15 minutes. And this is the town of Dover. It's very pleasant to walk around. You've got your shops, you've got the main square, you've got, of course, different restaurants, English pubs, very popular as well. But especially the town and its surroundings, they have a lot of sites to visit. Dover is, of course, most known for its wide cliffs. These are also one of England's most remarkable landmarks. So these cliffs, you will see them from the ship when we arrive. It has such a beautiful sight when the sun is out. They're all white, the green on the top, and then the blue water. It's really, really magnificent. Now, these are pure limestone. So what happened is there was this green algae that lived on the upper layer of the ocean, and when it died, it would fall down to the bottom of the ocean. There it would get together with other remains, and then it would wash ashore. So millions and millions of years ago, these rock formations, they were created, but then the sea level dropped, and that is why nowadays we are able to see these beautiful wide cliffs. So that is one of the things you should definitely go and see when we're in Dover, and which basically we will all be able to see. And then another important site here is the Dover Castle. Now, if these walls could speak, they have been through a lot of the wars, of course. It was a military base up until the second half of the 20th century. Very important during all the riots, the French invasion, of course. And nowadays you can go up there It's on a hill, so you also have a beautiful view of the surroundings. And basically at the end of the Cold War, in 1989, that's when it stopped having a defensive role, and that's when it became a major tourist attraction. So there's lots of history. If you want to learn more about all these invasions, about all the wars, you can go up to the Dover Castle. What you also see from a distance is the South Foreland Lighthouse. Now this one was built in the 1840s and was actually the first lighthouse to use an electric light. So you can go up there. There's a very long walk along the cliffs. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you that, but you'll see this lighthouse from a distance as well. Now, as I said, we will be in the Kent county of England. They also call it the Garden of England, and you'll see why once you get outside of Dover. It's very green, beautiful landscape. This is approximately what it will look like, and there is much more to see in that area as well. For instance, Leeds Castle. This is about an hour's drive from our port and located just outside of the town of Maidstone. Now this has been the home to 6 medieval queens. It's been the playground of Henry VIII. It's been a private home even, and nowadays it's open to the public to see. So it's been many different things as well. It went from a royal court, it's been a prison for witches, kings as well, prisoners of wars. It's been a munition storage, even a hospital. So lots and lots of history there. They believe that in 1278, King Edward I, he became the owner, and it's believed that he created these beautiful lakes around the castle. So the castle sits on 2 islands, and there's 500 acres of land park around it. A beautiful romantic setting to walk around, and inside you really see the interior changing. It's got medieval furnishing. It's also got a lot of tapestries, a lot of paintings that date back to the time when this was a very important castle. So a beautiful visit to the Leeds Castle. And then another option is to go to Canterbury. How many of you have read Tales of Canterbury? Wow, many of you, very good. So for those of you who don't know, this is a book about the pilgrims who are on their way to Canterbury, and to pass the time they tell tales. So very interesting book to read. Canterbury is a very pleasant town to walk around as well. Very popular here, of course, is the cathedral. So it was Augustine who went here on the pilgrimage. He was sent there by Pope Gregory the Great in 596, so many years ago. And he came here and he created the cathedral, and it went through a lot of the riots, of course. It's been destroyed, there's been fires, but nowadays it is the main attraction here in Canterbury. And you can go inside, you can have a look at the throne, also admire the outside of it. It's really impressive, and of course this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A little bit further down from the port, at about 45 minutes drive, you'll find the medieval town of Rye. Rye has also played an important role with the Cinque Ports, the 5 ports that were protecting the country, and also had to do with the kings. If they needed ships, they would come here, because Rye was almost completely surrounded by the sea. So that why it had a very strong reputation, but also notorious gangs came here, and when they did their little business here, they stayed at one of the inns, the Mermaid Inn. So here on the picture you see Mermaid Street. That's one of the most famous streets in the town of Rye. As for the local cuisine, of course I can name a lot of local dishes from the UK, but something typical from the region, of course, are apples. They've got a special type of apples coming here, and of course apples make great apple cider. So when you go to one of the English pubs, for sure you can get a glass of apple cider. Tea, the English, of course, they love their tea, so afternoon tea is very popular here. Fish and chips, especially in the port towns, you'll find that there. Scones, they come together with the tea. So all that and more awaits you in our port of Dover. Remember that we have a full day and we added the London excursions. You can either do an excursion with a tour guide, or you can just go to London on your own if you've already been there before, or if you want to go shopping, or if you have something specific that you want to see or do there. And then we'll cross over to the mainland of Europe again, and we'll come to Bruges. Now Bruges is very special for me because I used to call this place home for quite a while, and I haven't been back in a few years, so I'm very excited to be here again. Just to show you on the map where it is, we'll be in the region of Flanders, where the local language is Flemish. It's quite similar to Dutch, but it has a bit of an accent, especially in the province where we're going to be, West Flanders. The locals have quite a big accent, but most of them all speak English, so for sure you will be able to get around there. So this is the port of Bruges. We'll be docking at Zweedse Kai. This is a container port, ladies and gentlemen, so very important for your safety. You're not allowed to walk on the pier. That's why we'll have shuttles taking you to the gate for everybody's safety, so do keep that in mind. The distance from Bruges to the town of Bruges is about 30 minutes driving, so do keep that in mind as well, as we will set sail already at 2:30 in the afternoon. It's about a half day that we've got there, so definitely plan ahead. Make sure that you have something booked so you don't waste a lot of time standing in line for a taxi, as these are limited. It's a container port, like I said. There's not going to be a lot of taxis, so make sure that you have something booked in advance. So let's have a look at this fairy tale town. I remember when I first got here, I was overwhelmed because it looks like a fairy tale. You walk on these cobblestone streets, there's the canals, and you've got swans swimming there, you've got the bell towers. It's really, really magnificent. It's also very old. Bruges used to be a very prosperous city. Back in the 1300s, it had its golden age. Because of the canals, they did a lot of trading, so the city became richer and richer up until approximately the 16th century, when Antwerp took over. They've got a huge port over there, and that's when Bruges kind of lost its wealth. Nevertheless, you'll still have beautiful medieval architecture. It's very well preserved, and they're very proud of their town, so they do a lot of restoring of all these beautiful buildings. Now the locals call their town Brugge, so we call it Bruges, and that comes from the Viking word wharf, and that shows that it really has been an important trading port there. This is the market square, very important. It's basically the heart of the city. Around this you'll find many terraces. It's always packed here. You can see the horse-drawn carriages, they leave from here. There's also the beautiful post office there. And in the middle of the picture you see the Belfry Tower. Now this was added to the city in 1240. It's actually possible to go all the way up to the top. You'll have to climb about 366 steps. But maybe you've already done that at the Eiffel Tower or Mont Saint-Michel. But if you want to take in a beautiful view, you can go up on the Belfry Tower. What I actually used to do is I would sit on this square, I'd get a coffee and a waffle, of course, and I'd watch the tours, because this is such a busy place. So you see the tourists and you see the locals, and you hear the songs of the Belfry Tower. It's really, really amazing. Now the city is dominated by 3 towers. So the Belfry Tower is one of them. The second one is the Church of Our Lady. This one is actually the tallest, and it's been created over the years of the 13th, 14th and 15th century. Now inside this one you'll find the Madonna of Bruges by Michelangelo. So this is a statue of Mary with the infant Jesus. So you can have a look inside there as well. And the third tower is the Saint Salvator Cathedral. This is the main church of the city, and one of the few that has really survived everything that happened here. It wasn't specifically damaged, so very well preserved, the Saint Salvator Cathedral, and also you can go inside there and have a look. Now back to the main city center area. When you walk from the main square, you have different options. It's sort of like all these narrow streets, and then you get to One of them is the Burg Square. This is the town hall. Isn't it beautiful? It's more than 600 years old. It dates back to 1376, making it one of the oldest one in the Low Countries, so Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. It has a beautiful facade. You've got 48 figures engraved in it, Bible figures, truly amazing. And the square is also very nice and very popular for people to hang around. And right next to that is the Basilica of the Holy Blood. Now this one was originally built in the 12th century, and it is said that it contains the holy blood of Jesus Christ. So you can go inside there as well. It's very tiny. They did a lot of changing over the years. First it was a Gothic style, and then they changed it again. So you can go upstairs. It's pretty tiny, but if you want to see that. And normally 40 days after Easter, they do the procession of the Holy Blood. This is one of the main attractions for people to come to Bruges. They actually have a parade that goes through the entire city with the Holy Blood. So that is just once a year. And then there's also the Béguinage. Now it's not really in use anymore, but it dates back to the 13th century. You have these beautiful whitewashed houses, the gardens. Probably at this time of year you'll have all the yellow daffodils that will greet you once you come there. So this is all within walking distance, and if you're lucky you'll see one of the Benedictine nuns walking around there who still live there. They are a bit shy, they're not particularly fond of the tourists coming there and taking pictures of them. So if you happen to run in of them, please be politeful to them, let me put it that way. But Bruges is also an art city, and for instance Jan van Eyck, he spent many years there, and I'm sure you've all heard of the Flemish primitives. It's a beautiful way of painting, and this really came from Bruges. This is the area where it all started, and that's why at the Groningen Museum you can find all these beautiful paintings of the Flemish primitives. Also Hans Memling, of course. So if you are an art lover, go to Bruges, and this is definitely something that you want to see. But for those of you who have already been to Bruges before, or who would like to see a little bit more of the area, you can go to Ghent. Ghent is quite similar in architectural style, except that it's a lot bigger city. They've got a university, which create a lot more atmosphere in the city center, more a local life experience. Luckily it's quite similar. They've got also this medieval architecture style that's very well preserved, and they also have the kennels, so you can go on your kennel ride. One of the main landmarks that you will see is the old Palace of Justice. It's not really in use anymore as a Palace of Justice, but it's still very beautiful to go around on the kennels and see this city from a different angle. Now don't be afraid, you're not going to miss out on any of the chocolate, because Ghent also has a lot of chocolate stores there. So if that is your concern, should I go to Bruges, should I go to Ghent, you can still go to Ghent and get your chocolate fix. A little bit in that area, the scenic Flanders landscape, you'll find a medieval town of Damme. Damme is really tiny. It's smaller than Bruges, but nevertheless very interesting, because it's something that you're not going to find in the States. I know that many are from the States or from Canada. This is unlike anything else. For instance, the windmills, you've got farmers there, you've got a medieval cathedral, old churches. It's very picturesque and very charming. You can even take your bike. As you can see, it's all flat, and that's why we people in the Netherlands, people in Belgium, they like to ride their bikes. So that is really one of the local experiences if you're up for it, to do that by bike. And you'll pass by the kennels, you've got all the boats there. It's really scenic. And then one other castle, if you're not castled out yet, but after Dover, is the Castle of Lotben, and definitely not to miss. This one was built between 1859 and 1862 as a private home. Nowadays you can go inside and have a walk around. What's quite spectacular is that it's one of the only castles in Belgium that still has its original architecture and interior. So it's very well preserved, and a beautiful park around it. You've got little ponds, so it's very romantic. This entire area is very romantic. People go to Bruges for a honeymoon, for an anniversary, for something to celebrate. So you'll see a lot of couples walking through the city. Now what are we going to buy in Bruges? Chocolate. There is over 50 chocolate stores. So you can imagine when I lived there, sometimes I would go a little bit crazy because you smell it all the time. But it is, in my opinion, sorry for people from Switzerland here, it is the best chocolate in the world. You can find delicious truffles, you can find very funny chocolate figures as well, and I'm sure you'll all pass by, so I'm not going to spoil that. They're really magnificent. Some of the chocolate shops even let you try some because they have all these different kinds. They use red chilies, they use raspberry cream, really special. So bring some home for your family. They know how to wrap it, and they have these harder boxes so they won't break. Now the Belgians are kind of a sweet tooth, so they also have these cookies. They're like little waffles, cracker waffles, sweet as well. And lace is also very big. Sometimes you will even see the older ladies, and they're making the lace in the street. You can find some beautiful tablecloths and little accessories. Now moving on to cuisine, it doesn't happen often that I show a page with everything that I like, but this time I actually do. It's really, they love good food, and you can find everything from a French fry stall on the market square to 3 Michelin star restaurants there. So if you like fine dining, you can definitely make some plans for Bruges. There's many good restaurants in Bruges and also in the area with Michelin stars. But let's have a look at some of the specialties. Of course, it's chocolate. Right next to that, you see a little pan that is a fish pan. Of course, they're close to the sea, so they use a lot of seafood and cheese and cream. It's kind of heavy. Up on that, the fried things, the brown things, are called garnal croquettes. They're like little croquettes. They're deep fried, and they've got a thick sauce inside with grey shrimp. Excellent, excellent. Underneath that, with the French fries, because you get fries with everything here. And they like to dip it in mayonnaise, not in ketchup as many of you do, but in mayonnaise, so to top things off a little. And that's a stew, like a beef stew, very popular as well. The mussels, of course. Waffles, there's one particular place where you pass by and you smell it. It's so sweet, you just have to have it. So get some waffles. Of course, also tomatoes. They have the big juicy tomatoes, and they fill them with grey shrimp. Also very delicious. What's also coming from Bruges is beer. Some of the cafes have more than 400 kinds of beer. So if you are a beer lover, you will definitely like this place as much as I do. And at the market square, you might see these people drinking a glass of beer in this wooden holder. That's very typical from this region as well. It's called kwak beer. I don't know how to translate it. I guess you'll just have to try it, because in the end, it all comes out and it goes straight to the head. Let me tell you that. You'll have to eat something with it. So when you get to Bruges, very close to the market square, you'll find the 2B shop. This is a one-stop shop for all your souvenirs, but as you can see, also for all your different kinds of beers. They have a very nice terrace in the back that looks out over the canals and the little the boats that pass by. So this is a very good place if you want to get your souvenirs. Remember, this is our preferred shop, and will be listed in the destination guide that you will receive the evening before we arrive in Bruges. Now, just a little reminder again as to what to bring ashore. In Belgium, we'll be using euros. However, in England, we will be needing English pounds. They do not accept euros or US dollars normally. So make sure that you have some local currency there. Also, you need to have some sort of a photo ID on you when you go ashore. So either a driver's license or a passport or an ID card if you're European. That will be good. Remember, especially in Bruges and England as well, the weather might change very quickly. So always have something on you, like an umbrella or an extra sweater, a rain jacket if you have. Make sure the cameras are charged and have plenty of space for your pictures. You'll take many of them, believe me. Most places do accept credit card, except when you go to the smaller souvenir shops, of course, it's a bit harder. So that's why I advise people to always have a little bit of cash. And that will be all for our day in Bruges. Remember, it is a short day. We set sail at 2:30 p.m. So have your plans in advance so you don't miss out on this beautiful town. And Great to see you all here today. If you have any questions, come see me at the desk afterwards.